Long ago, in a small and forgotten village, there lived a poor farmer with his wife. Their house was tiny and fragile. When the rains came, water dripped through the roof. The floor was nothing but dry, cracked earth. Life was hard, yet every morning the farmer rose before sunrise with a calm smile on his face. That smile existed for one reason: his wife. He loved her deeply. No matter how difficult life became, his heart felt lighter just knowing she was there. Each day he walked to the fields while the sky was still dark. From early morning until sunset, he worked non-stop. The sun burned his skin, the rain soaked his clothes, his hands became rough and scarred, but he never complained. Work to him was a way to protect the woman he loved. His wife stayed at home. She was known throughout the village for her beauty. People admired her smooth skin and long hair. She spent hours sitting in front of a small mirror, brushing her hair slowly, rubbing oils and creams on her face and hands. The house was rarely clean. Meals were simple and often delayed. One morning, as the farmer picked up his tools, he looked at her gently and said, "Come with me today. I could really use your help." She laughed softly without looking up from the mirror. "Your hands are meant for labor," she said. "Mine are meant to stay beautiful." The farmer sighed quietly. He felt the weight of her words, but he said nothing. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. One evening, while they sat eating in silence, his wife suddenly spoke. "I'm tired of this life," she said. "Look at me. I'm beautiful. I deserve more than this." She looked around the small house with disgust. "Why don't you earn more? Buy me fine clothes. Buy me perfume. Everyone in the village talks about how poor we are." The farmer slowly set his food aside. "I'm doing everything I can," he said softly. "It's still not enough," she replied, turning away. From that night onward, the farmer pushed himself harder than ever. After working all day in the fields, he took extra jobs, carrying heavy sacks in the market, repairing fences, helping neighbors, anything that earned a few extra coins. He came home late every night, exhausted and covered in dust. His hands trembled from pain, his back burned. But his wife never asked how he was feeling. She only asked one thing: "Did you bring money?" Then one morning, she didn't rise from bed. Her face was pale, her voice was weak. "I don't feel well," she whispered. The farmer panicked. He ran through the village searching for medicine, but they could afford very little. He stayed beside her day and night, feeding her, wiping her face, holding her hand tightly as if refusing to let go. Days passed. She didn't recover. One night she called his name softly. He leaned close. She smiled faintly and whispered, "I'm so tired." Before he could answer, her hand slipped from his grasp. She was gone. The farmer didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He sat beside her lifeless body, his eyes red and empty. When neighbors came and told him it was time to bury her, he shook his head. "Not yet," he whispered. "I can't." That night, he looked up at the stars and spoke through tears. "Gods, if you are listening, bring her back. I will give everything." And by morning, he made his choice. At sunrise, the farmer began selling everything he owned: his tools, his animals, the pots, the blankets, even the last small things that made their house feel like a home. With the money, he bought a small wooden boat. It was old, but it could float. If the gods exist, he told himself, they can bring her back. He placed his wife's body gently into the boat, wrapped carefully in cloth, and pushed off into the river. The water carried him forward, away from the village, away from everything he once knew. Days turned into nights. Nights turned into days. Storms battered the boat. The sun burned his skin during the day. Thick fog swallowed the river at night until he could barely see his own hands. But he did not turn back. He rode on, driven by love and desperation. One morning, the fog slowly lifted. Before him stood a mountain so tall its peak disappeared into the clouds. "This must be the place," the farmer whispered. He carried his wife's body onto his back and began climbing. Each step was heavy. His legs shook. His breath came in short gasps. Still, he continued. Halfway up the mountain, he saw an old man sitting calmly on a stone. "You must be a god," the farmer said, falling to his knees. The old man smiled gently. "Why have you come?" The farmer told him everything, the love, the suffering, the death, and the long journey across the river. "You are a devoted husband," the old man said. "But tell me, why do you want her back?" Tears filled the farmer's eyes. "She is my world," he said. "Please." The old man thought for a moment, then spoke. "There is a way. Place 3 drops of your blood into her mouth, and she will live again. But remember, her life will come from you." Without hesitation, the farmer cut his finger. 3 drops of blood fell onto her lips. Her chest moved. She opened her eyes and took a sharp breath. "Where am I?" she whispered. The farmer cried as he held her. "You're alive. That's all that matters." They returned to the river together, but everything had changed. They had no home, no money, no future. When they reached a busy port town, the farmer went to buy food, leaving his wife alone on the small boat. She watched the bustling streets, the colorful clothes, the loud voices, the grand ships. Then she saw him. A rich man, dressed in silk, gold rings shining on his fingers. He noticed her beauty immediately. "You shouldn't be sitting here alone," he said. "Come with me. I can give you everything you desire." She thought of the hard life she had returned to, the empty boat, the poor farmer. Without looking back, she stepped onto the rich man's ship and sailed away. When the farmer returned, she was gone. A year later, he saw her again in the marketplace, dressed in silk, covered in jewelry. "Come home," he said quietly. She laughed. "Home? I have everything now." He looked at her calmly. "You live because of my blood." She smirked. "Then take it back." As the last drop fell, her body twisted. She collapsed, shrinking, changing, until only a mosquito remained. And that is why, even today, mosquitoes seek human blood, still searching for the beauty they once lost.